This Treasure Planet video was going to be a normal, the original story video, kind of like the Lion King one and the Brother Bear one. And in it I was going to talk about the changes to the actual story, but I found a much more interesting story, which is why, up until its time, it was the biggest bomb that Disney ever had in the box office. It's the story of how Disney potentially killed Treasure Planet and made it not do well at all at the box office. So back in 1985, Ron Clements and John Musker came up with the idea of Treasure Island in space. This was a project that the duo were really passionate about. They'd already done stuff like make concept art, they've already made a plot and some other things, and they really wanted this to be made. And I mean, they were really desperate to make it happen. But it didn't come out until 17 years later in 2002. And that's mainly down to the fact that the Disney executives just didn't want to fund the film, they didn't want it to happen. In fact, every time the duo brought it up to the former chairman of Walt Disney Studios, he'd give them another film to work on instead. I mean, it's not exactly a terrible thing to happen to them getting more work, but the point is they wanted to make Treasure Planet, so... And the films that they were told to make were some kind of little films that you may or may not know of, you know, The Great Mouse Detective, The Little Mermaid, and Aladdin. And I mean, they didn't do a bad job with them, you know, to say that there were films that they just wanted to get through to get to Treasure Planet. But there was one film that they had to make before they were going to do Treasure Planet, and that was Hercules. And this was after the duo had pestered Jeffrey Katzenberg loads about making Treasure Planet. I mean, he was probably thinking about it in his dreams at this point. So it was like, okay, you know, whatever, you can make it as long as you make one more film, which was Hercules. And obviously, as long as it was successful like their previous films. But while the duo were there making Hercules, Katzenberg was forced to resign from Walt Disney Studios and formed a little studio, you may or may not have heard of it, DreamWorks.
What are you doing in my swamp?
So after the duo finished with Hercules, they had new executives to pester about Treasure Planet. And by the way, I kind of feel a bit sorry for the new executives that had to come in and just be bombarded with Clements and Musker's whining. But anyway, soon they told them to just go and do it. So they went and did it. But the executives still weren't that happy about the idea. So the development happened and there's loads of stuff to talk about with the development. So I'm probably going to make a whole video in of itself. So be sure to subscribe to see when that video comes out. But I'll skip over it in this video, but just know there was a lot of stuff that happened in the development. I mean, it literally took them 10 years to make it and cost them $180 million to make. But having spent that $180 million, they only made back $101 million in box office. And this was their biggest box office loss to date, with only Mars Needs Mums taking the crown. I mean, if you can call it the crown. And now this is kind of where the tinfoil hat comes out. I know this isn't a tinfoil hat, but it's like close enough, whatever. So Disney may have actually wanted this film to intentionally bomb. Okay, I'm gonna take this off now. So this film came out in the worst possible time imaginable, in the worst possible way. So this was very clearly a summer film, but they decided to bring it out in winter. They brought it out in the US in November of 2002, and they brought it out in February in England the next year. But in America, it came out at the same time as the behemoth that is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And it also came out at the same time as another one of Disney's films, The Santa Claus 2. And by the way, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets made back 9 times its original budget of around 100,000, so this was a behemoth film. Apparently they were forced to bring it out in November because McDonald's struck a deal with them where they had to basically bring it out at that particular time. But I'm pretty sure if Disney's not stupid, they know they're going to lose a lot of money. They would have been able to shift it, like just pay McDonald's some money or something and just shift it to another date. Oh, I mean, why did they even make a deal with them in the first place to put it on that date when it's clearly a summer movie? Because seriously though, Disney have been at this for a while. They know that that's not a good date to have it on. And I mean, okay, that's fair enough. Maybe McDonald's didn't want to budget even if they got loads of money to budget or whatever, or I don't know, whatever. But the advertising for this film was really bad too. They did advertise it. They spent around $30 million on advertising. The trailers were really bad. I mean, if you think trailers nowadays are bad, like if you literally watch the Treasure Planet trailer, it will make the current trailers look like the most secretive kind of non-spoilery trailers ever. Ultimately, they just threw more money at it than effort, and it really showed in how they advertised. And they even had in mind that it was going to be a failure, so when it was nominated for Best Animated Picture for that month, they were totally surprised. But again, it's one thing thinking it's going to fail and another thing actually wanting it to fail. And I do have a few reasons as to why I do think that they wanted it to fail. And a few other people online agree with me too. Not that I talked to them, but I saw their opinions. Because the thing is, even if you put aside the whole date thing and you put aside the advertising, there's the fact that Disney was actually working on shutting down its 2D animation department. They were laying people off, they were cutting their wages. They were really wanting to just transition into the world of 3D and start making 3D animated movies, so they didn't want any more of 2D. And they really needed all the excuses that they could get to make 2D animation look like a really bad idea, because 3D animation is where all the money was going to. And they most definitely didn't want to have a Treasure Planet 2, which had actually already started being worked on at that point. But what better way to stop Treasure Planet 2 from being made and to make just 2D animated movies in general look like a bad idea at that current time, but to make a 2D animated movie just totally bomb. And that's why I think that they did what they did and they made it bomb. So yeah, that's the story before and after the development of Treasure Planet and why it bombed. As I said, I'm going to be making a second video on Treasure Planet about the development of this film and why it cost so much to make and why it took 10 years and all that sort of stuff. So be sure to subscribe to see when that video comes out. Be sure to comment down below what your thoughts are on Treasure Planet, because it's a really, really great film in my opinion. But yeah, I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.